Propagating Bougainvillea from cuttings in soil and water. Today I'm going to show you how to propagate Bougainvillea from cuttings in soil. But I'm also going to do an experiment to see if Bougainvillea will root from cuttings in water. So stick around to the end and I will show you our result. We have this huge Bougainvillea in front of our house and it is gigantic. It's not as big as it usually is because I've already started cutting it down. The reason why I'm cutting it down is because where it's at, it does not get as pink as I'd like, and it's taking up a lot of my growing space for edible plants. So I would like to maybe plant a plantain right here, because this is one of the few places on a property that we get full sun, which means I want to utilize this space in a better way than just having this Bougainvillea grow up and become gigantic. But we are going to replant this Bougainvillea somewhere else. We already have lots of different starts that we've started from this plant over the years, and I left it here over the winter, which is why it looks so sad and blotched, because I wanted it to protect all of these other tropical plants in case we did get a freeze. Some years we actually have had freezes, and this Bougainvillea has protected the plants. This year is the year it's going to go because I'm running out of space and I want more growing space for my tropical edible plants. I'm cutting it down one branch at a time because they have these huge spikes on them. Let's see if we can find some of the bigger ones. So you have to be real careful. See one right there. They are really, really bad. Look at these. Yes, they will spike you. So this is not a plant you want where people walk a lot, where there's a lot of foot traffic. But it is a beautiful plant when it does get in bloom with these beautiful pink blooms. And I'm going to get some more cutting started, and then I'm going to cut this to the ground. We'll move it up, and hopefully some of these cuttings will give us some more. Before I get started on showing you how to propagate Bougainvillea from cuttings, I want to ask you to please consider hitting that like button and hitting the subscribe button. Whenever you watch, like, save, share, and subscribe to our channel, you support our dream of expanding the identities of family farm, and we can't wait to take you along on our journey. It has taken me 4 months to cut down this Bougainvillea, and I'm still not done. It used to be out to both sides covering the trellises, but at least I've got it down to just being in the middle. And if you saw the video on how to plant fig trees, I have a small fig tree in here that I was trying to make room for. Here you can see the update. It's been about 2 weeks, and you can see that it's branching out beautifully, and it's surrounded by lots of plants. But I still need more room, and I want to plant a plantain banana right where the Bougainvillea is. Today I'm going to try to work on it before the sun comes up. It comes and shines really, really bright and hot right here in this area around 10 o'clock. So I have about 30 minutes to an hour before it comes. Where I've pruned it previously, it's come out with this new softwood, and that's not the kind of wood that I want you to take for your cuttings. It's a bit crowded here in the front yard garden because it's the one spot that we have a lot of sun. But I'm going to try to get in there to the old wood. When it comes to taking cuttings to propagate the Bougainvillea, I want you to look for woody cuttings. You can see here's one that's woody down here, and then it's very soft at the top. I'm going to do both, but from experience, we've had more success with taking the woody cuttings. So let me see what I can find. Here's a really good one that I, for whatever reason, didn't cut down last time. But I'm going to use this one. I'm kind of trapped in here, so I'm just going to take a bunch of cuttings and see if I can throw them over. But be careful when you take cuttings, you know, because of all the spikes. Here's one that's semi-softwood. You can see it's beginning to turn into wood, but it's very soft at the edges. Here is one that is very woody down here where I'm cutting it. And then you can see semi-hardwood and softer at the end. I do prefer to use the pencil size wood, like this one right here. This one's a little bit big for what I do, but I'm still gonna do it since we're propagating right now. I'm still gonna use it. This one is a perfect cutting. See how it's brown and woody all the way down. Oh, I found a perfect cutting. Look at how woody this one is, almost all the way to the top, and it's not too big. Yes, there's some damage in the leaves from the winter, but that's fine. Let's see if you can see it right here. This is perfect. I'm gonna do a couple cuttings out of this, but I do like cuttings where I can get the tip of the branch. It just makes for a better cutting in the end. This one is perfect. Look at all this small pencil size and smaller wood, but very woody and lots of different ends. Definitely gonna use this one. And here's one, really good one. Gonna cut it all the way down there. Now, I don't really care how I prune this because I know I'm pruning it to cut it down so I can dig up this plant and put it somewhere else. If you're pruning it for aesthetic purposes, you can just use whatever cuttings you have after pruning. Now, when you prune your bougainvillea or when you take cuttings, always be careful about these spikes. Ideally, you should be wearing some sort of eyewear because they can poke your eye out. Even just the stems themselves, they are pretty spiky, but look at these spikes. These are not even the biggest ones, but when you're bending over here, it can be dangerous. So please be careful when you work on your bougainvillea. I have a plant friend who is allergic to the bougainvillea pokes, so be careful. Another thing that I'm very careful about when I prune the bougainvillea is not cutting the spike that's attached right here, because when you cut that, it will land somewhere on the ground, and next thing you know, you're going to step in it, and they are so spiky that they will go through your shoes. So watch where your cuttings go, watch where your spikes go. Alright, let's get started on making these cuttings ready for propagation. I have chosen this big rambling branch to start showing you how to do the cuttings. And I have a container that I can cut my cuttings into in case something like a spike gets cut off. I do not want any spikes anywhere. They can get the dog's foot, the cat's foot, my foot, kid's foot. Here's a cutting right here that I'm gonna cut it real close because it's a soft wood cutting, but there's a little bit left right there, so I'm still gonna use it. Carefully remove the leaves. Don't get spiked. I'll take most of the leaves off. Just leave a couple leaves at the top, and then I'm gonna cut off the spikes. Try these a little squishy. Let's try these. See if they're sharper. There. Cut them into the container. There you go. And then I have a glass of water ready. And then just scar a little bit right here on one side only. Do about 1 inch, 2 inches. Just like this. So you get into the middle of the branch. And then put in a glass of water until you're ready to process all of the cuttings. Here's one you can see where I cut a piece of the woody stem, but it still has a lot of green on it. That will help me be more successful when I have a little bit of the woody cut on it. Again, I'm gonna carefully remove the leaves, cut off the spikes. Each spike is at a node. and then just scratch the bottom of the branch a little, the cutting. There we go. Put in water. And that's how I'm gonna do all of them. It's one of those I was telling you about that I really like. It's very woody, and then has a little bit of green up here at the top. And it's the perfect size, not too big. It can fit in my propagation bin. This one doesn't have any spikes on. Extra bonus. So I'm just going to process all of these. So let me speed up a little bit, and then we'll get to the next step. I recommend that you either put it in the trash safely or have one spot on your property where no one walks, where you can dump a bunch of wood chips on once in a while so that no one will step on these spikes. This will also go to a spot outside the food forest that no one walks on. And I'm going to go cut down some more and bring it over, and then I'll come back and show you how to propagate these cuttings. Alright, I'm back, and it is time to get these cuttings taken care of, because if I don't take care of them now, I'm going to forget about it. I just spent 2 hours in the food forest working with our son number 2. He's home from college, and he's a hard worker when he wants to be. So Mama here took advantage and got some help lifting some heavy pots. But I need to get these cuttings done even though I'm so tired, and I really just want to put my feet up. Let me tell you something though. 3 months ago I started this video of how to propagate bougainvillea from cuttings, and I forgot to finish it. I forgot to take care of the cuttings, so I just left them in water and I put them in a southern facing window, and I'm like, okay, well, let's just see. Will they root in water? Because I do not have the energy to deal with them. So I left them in water. And later on, I'm going to tell you what happened and exactly how long it happened until something happened. But first, let's get these cuttings in the containers before I forget about these. I'm going to show you 2 ways right now that I do the bougainvillea cuttings. In sand, and then this one is in sand and compost. We are going to put this one in a upside down propagation box, and this one I'm just gonna do with a plastic bag on top of it. I have done both and have been successful with both, so I want to show all of you both methods just in case you guys don't have a propagation box or don't have room for it. It is very simple to just propagate the bougainvillea in a pot like this. Alright, so let's talk about the containers real quick. This is just a regular nursery pot with some holes in it. And this one is an ice cream container that we actually use for our compost bin inside on the counter. Once this container gets a crack, it is time for us to get ice cream for the kids. And I get the old container to propagate plants in, because when I use the upside down propagation bins, I prefer not to have holes in the containers. It just keeps the humidity with these plants. I don't overwater them, but it just makes it so that I don't have to water the plants more than once. Now, once I pull it out of the propagation bin, I will put holes in it while the plants adjust to being outside, and outside it'll get rain on, so it needs to have holes for drainage. This is one of my favorite rooting hormones, but you can use any kind of rooting hormone. We've used different variations and they all do the same. All you need to do is take your cutting that you prepared, stick it in the powder, and you can either make a hole first with a stick that's similar, or you can just stick it in yourself without making holes first. It doesn't really matter. Sometimes I just stick them in, and sometimes I make the holes. I've not really seen a difference. You don't really need much powder on there, just need enough to get it in here. And we just stick a whole bunch in here. Some of them are going to survive, some of them are not. But you'll make more plants out of something you were going to throw away when you prune your plants. You can give some to your friends, family, or you can plant more around your garden. Just kind of stick them in. So you have at least 3 nodes below. I kind of make sure to get to around at least past the middle, but I don't stick them all the way to the bottom of the container. Let's see the other one. There we go. Same thing. Just put some powder on, stick them in the pot. Go. Maybe put one more in here. The only thing I really have to think about is whether it can fit inside the bag or inside the propagation bin. There we go. And please excuse my mess. As I said, I've been working in the food forest all morning. Let's see. There we go. Now just water them. And you want to make sure that in the sand that there's no air going down, so you can't just push down around the cuttings, although once you water it, usually the holes will close by itself, especially if you're using sand. If you're using some sort of wood chip compost, that's not really the case all the time, but see here, I'm just double checking, and then we'll water again. Now, let me wash my hands while I am watering these plants. I have 2 propagation bins here that I actually empty because last week I took all the different cuttings out. Let me see if I can show you some of them. Here we have some Barbados cherry and some Katuk. They have now come out of the propagation bin, and I poked some holes in the bottom of the containers just so that they have some drainage. And then in about a month or so, I'm going to plant these into separate containers. I just want them to get used to the outside first. An upside down propagation bin is simply an old plastic bin. And the reason why I do them upside down is because these are bins I got from thrift stores that did not have a clear lid. So if your plastic bin does not have a clear lid, you can just put it upside down and do it just like this. Okay, so see, I cleaned it out as much as I could. And there you go, that's it. So now I'm going to get a little bit more water. You just place it at the bottom of the bin, and you want to put a little bit of water in once you've moved it, just so that there's no room for air anywhere. And then make sure that the sides do not touch the bin. All you do is close up the bin, make sure it's tight. I don't have any holes in this bin. That's all you do. in a month or two, check on the cuttings to see if they need to be watered. You can check if there's any root activity. That's one of the benefits of having kind of a clear container to have them in. And then once they're well rooted, you can plant them in their own pots, but you can also do what I did with the Kachuk and the Barbados cherry. Just bring them outside for a little bit. I've watered the nursery pot with cuttings well, and now all we need to do is put a clear or a white plastic bag over it. And you want to tie it. Like this. That's all you need to do, and leave it in here for about a month or two. What I like to do is put it in the shade. Always put your cuttings in the shade, and then put it on top of this other bin where you can see there's always a little bit of water standing. That way, once the bougainvillea starts rooting, it'll pull up water from the bottom of the pot, and that's it. That's how easy it is. Now let's talk about these cuttings that I forgot. I had 2 glasses full of cuttings. You see this one, and this 3 months later, by the way. This one, they're still alive, but there's a lot of green fuzzy stuff on here. You see there's some white stuff on there, and that is definitely the beginning of some roots. So I can leave them in here, and I'll probably just leave them outside now, not keep them inside, because a bunch of these are dead. But I want to show you this one again, 3 months after. Let's see here if we can find it. Do you see the roots? Yes. Let's see which one it is. It's not that one. This one has a lot of white and a little root on there. You see that little root? There, you can see the root. This one, look at that beautiful root. That one is ready to be planted out. So let's do that. I have a nursery pot with a mix of compost from chicken coop, some sand, soil, and I'm just gonna put this in here very gently. There we go. Push down around it. And water. And once I plant cuttings that have been rooted in water, I like to put a little dome over it. So let me do that. I decided to put both of the ones of the root in the pot, and I'm just going to put this little dome over. Just very carefully. They're still very fragile at this stage. There we go. I want to leave that here and just water around it whenever I need to. It has started raining, so maybe we'll get lucky and I won't have the water. And when I take the cuttings out of propagation bins, or even the ones in water, I like to start them off by leaving them in the shade for at least a week until I feel like they become established. But even 2 weeks to 4 weeks, if need be, they'll do fine in the shade with just some dab of light until I feel like they're ready for some more sunlight. Based on my experience, I would say that it makes no sense rooting bougainvillea in water if you have the room to do so in soil or sand, because out of all of these, I'm still waiting for some real roots on these, and they're just a yucky mess. A lot of them died. A few actually gave us some root. Whereas when I do it in the sand or the soil, whether it's with a plastic bag or in a propagation bin, the success rate is like 70% maybe. So if you have the option, I highly recommend rooting bougainvillea in soil or sand. Here is one of the bougainvilleas that we grew from a cutting. It's very eaten up by lobsters, grasshoppers, and it is very dry over here, but it's still doing okay. We do not water the bougainvilleas, and it's doing just fine, so it's very drought tolerant. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and support the Teachers Family Farm by subscribing, sharing, and saving this video. If you want to know how to make more plants, check out our playlist, Make More Plants, where we have lots of videos showing you how you can make more plants out of the plants you already have, or by growing from seeds. If you have any questions or comments, you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and thank you for making the world a little greener.